the twister. This is a rare submission in the world of combat sports. Not the rarest, but when it does happen, it is a pretty cool finish.
Be careful here.
Yeah, he's gonna get put in the
Set
guillotine.
up a twister.
Yep.
No way. No way.
In this video, we're going to talk about the twister. This is an attack on the spine, the entire spine, and it hurts.
In wrestling, we call that a guillotine. That's the guillotine in wrestling.
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
right.
so I called it a guillotine. I said, oh, he's gonna get a guillotine. But yes, a twister.
Yeah.
This is the most painful move.
Tell him, champ. This submission gained notoriety when accomplished competitor and teacher Eddie Bravo began showing it. We can say that Eddie Bravo certainly popularized it in the world of submission fighting and combat sports. In wrestling, like collegiate wrestling, it is known as the guillotine and has been around for a very, very long time. To make things confusing, the guillotine in the world of combat sports is a choke. Anyway, the technique. How does the twister work? It all starts with establishing the leg ride truck position, which controls the hips and keeps them locked in and facing away from the attacker. The opponent's arm is also trapped, keeping them from being able to turn away, and creates the twisting force between the lumbar and thoracic spine. We'll review this stuff in a little bit. It also allows the best access to the neck. Then the head is grasped, cranking it to the side and twisting it. This twists the neck in the opposite direction of the lower back. I will leave it to living legend Dean Lister to give some additional details.
Hey, Dean Lister here, Dr. Luke, looking at a move called the twister. In wrestling, it's called the guillotine. Not the guillotine from jiu-jitsu, it's different, okay? Now, it's a submission, I think basically on the spine. Of course, he's a little more into these terms than I am, okay? But it targets the spinal area and the muscles, very damaging. If you're in the submission, I would suggest just tap, okay? So at least like, Eddie Bravo does this really, really well, okay? I don't have it as my system, I have it as a move. Let's look at rudimentarily what it is, okay? I have one leg in, I'm gonna pull it down, here. Now here, you want to actually reinforce your feet so you can't turn out. So it's like a double. Now here's the thing, like Eddie Bravo teaches it way better than me. He has like a double baseball grip, pass it around, and now you lock around the head, actually not the neck, the head, and you pull the head to you and stretch. And what do you feel in your ribs?
It's down here.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing. Right here, you could also sort of pink belly. You could do whatever. They can't do much at this point. Okay, so lock your hands and stretch. Good. So that right there is basically very, in a crude way, effectively true. But Eddie Bravo with the system, 10th Planet, he has it down as a style, as a really good attack, known as the guillotine in wrestling, but known as the twister in jiu-jitsu.
Quick refresher on the anatomy. You can see my prior spine videos for more detail. The cervical spine, or neck, has 7 bones, or vertebrae. The thoracic spine, or mid-back, has 12 vertebrae, and the lumbar spine, or lower back, has 5 vertebrae, usually. The cervical spine moves in a lot of directions. The thoracic spine has the least motion, and this is partially because it is confined by the rib cage, and it's containing a lot of important things. The thoracic spine does have some twisting ability, but not a lot. The lumbar spine is good at supporting weight and flexing and extending, but not great at twisting. Point being, other than the cervical spine, the spine is not really set up to twist a lot. The vertebrae are connected by joints that are supported by ligaments. There are muscles that further support the spine. Lastly, there are intervertebral discs that are between the vertebrae, the vertebral bodies, and have a pretty cool ability to both cushion impact and resist twisting and tension. And some additional interesting information. The cervical spine usually can tolerate about 110 to 115 degrees of rotation or twisting in one direction before injury occurs. This being 0, 90. The lumbar spine, as it extends, tolerates less twisting and becomes stiffer to that motion. And the mid-thoracic spine may have less ability to twist if the lumbar spine is flexed. So, what gets hurt in the twister? The twister is locking the pelvis and lumbar spine into a position facing away from the attacker. This position could also include some lumbar extension or flexion, depending on how much the pelvis is pushed forwards and or the upper body pulled backwards. Then, a twisting force is put through the whole spine. What begins to fail first is dependent on several factors, including the flexibility of the different parts of the spine, the position of the lumbar spine, strength of the muscles, and how the attacker cranks the head. This submission can affect the lumbar spine, the thoracic spine, and or the cervical spine. It affects the muscles around the spine, the ligaments holding the spine joints together, the discs between the vertebrae are all being stressed. Force can even start going into the rib cage, as force in the thoracic spine is shared by the ribs. There is no doubt that this hurts. I personally have not seen anyone have a severe injury like disc herniation or joint dislocation or rib separation from this submission, but it definitely makes sense that it could happen. This guillotine versus twister thing is also interesting. It's a lesson that much of what we do in grappling sports is really a matter of discovery and rediscovery, as opposed to truly inventing a movement. Here are copies of the famous sculpture, The Wrestlers, dated from 3rd century BCE. Sure looks like the top guy could be hitting the twister. So, there you go, the twister guillotine. It hurts. It could do some damage. Be careful out there. Have fun, get after it, treat your body well, and it will treat you well. Be careful with your spine. I'm Dr. Lucius Pomerantz, board certified orthopedic surgeon. Let's keep moving.